Ladies, are you feeling exhausted, unmotivated, overwhelmed, and just disconnected? I get it. I've been where you are. I understand where you're coming from. I may not know exactly how you feel, but I can relate because I actually came from a career culture that prioritized getting stuff done over your physical and mental health. If you understand where I'm coming from, drop a comment in the chat because I know I'm not the only one. I know that there are other people, whether it's your culture or your career culture, that put this mindset forward. Now I've learned what things to watch out for. So let me share a little bit of that. First and foremost, let's look at the symptoms of burnout and overwhelm. And I think the first symptom that most people recognize most easily is the signs of physical exhaustion. So you might find that you're getting enough sleep, you're getting a full 8 hours of sleep, or maybe you're getting 12 or 13 hours of sleep, but you still feel tired. You're just exhausted, and it doesn't matter how much sleep you get the night before. Maybe you come from a similar culture as the one that I was in, where the goal was to get as little sleep as possible so that you can get more work done. Maybe you're not really feeling it in terms of tiredness, but you're starting to be irritable and more frustrated than usual. Now for me, this is usually the point where I was like, okay, wait, something's wrong. And by then I was at, just so far gone at a point where the physical toll on my body was so much that my body was just starting to react. You don't want to get there. Trust me. Sometimes it starts off as just a mild headache. I know for me, I had a tension headache one time during one season in my life for about 3 months. I just had this migraine that just wouldn't go away right here and right here. I had never had a migraine like that before in my life, but there was so much happening within my household, on top of having a full-time job and basically a full-time business that I was doing on the side. My family lost their house to a fire Christmas Eve, and we found ourselves not just trying to figure out where we were going to live and how we were going to fix the house, but the responsibility of redesigning the house and getting us back into the house became my responsibility because I was the architectural professional. This was my wheelhouse. This was what I did best. But it was also a season in my life where I had started to move away from that career, where I started to see the red flags of the toll that it was taking on my life. And then here I was with one foot out the door, having to do it not just full time, but an additional full time. So there was a lot happening in my life, and because of the season, I was just like, suck it up, keep going, push forward. And those might be words that you might have heard from, in your inner thoughts yourself, or you might have heard from others. And I thought, the better I shoulder all of these things, the stronger it makes me. But I started to see those physical tolls on my body. For me, it was migraines. Could manifest in a variety of different ways, but usually it's some physical sign that you start to see aches and pains, in addition to fatigue. The second symptom that you want to look out for is depersonalization and cynicism. These aren't as easy to see as the physical symptoms, but they're just as important to watch out for. It might be as simple as you just feeling disconnected from what's happening around you. Some people will feel the extreme of almost feeling like they're experiencing their life from outside of their body, or like your environment isn't real. I know for me, for a couple of years, and I never really pinpointed it until after I started to learn, but I felt like I was sort of going through my life in a haze. Like I was there, I was aware, I was alert, I knew what I was doing, but it was almost like there was like a gray filter on everything. Especially at times where I was doing things that I used to be passionate about, that I wasn't as passionate about anymore, but because I needed to get it done, I did it. And I found that like the days would go by, Monday to Friday, and I would just totally miss, the middle days would just be a complete blur. Wouldn't know what happened, wouldn't remember things, it would just be gone. I also just not be caring about things. And usually you can notice it because it's things that used to be important to you, things that used to be worthwhile, that used to get excited about, they suddenly don't matter as much. And I think this is one of those subtle moments where as we get older, we might just say, I'm just not as interested in that as I used to be. But it could be that overwhelm and burnout just stepping in and creating that depersonalization where you're just disconnected. It could also manifest as feeling that the things that people around you say are not really what they're saying. You might become a little bit cynical about the things that people say to you. And I remember experiencing this as well. When my family members would try to help me, I would actually get frustrated because I was just so like tightly wound that I knew that they were trying to help, but I just got hung up in, you don't understand what I'm going through. You don't really get it. You don't get me. You don't get anything. And it created a bit of a divide. It wasn't that I didn't care for or appreciate my family trying to help me, but I just, like, in my mind, I just started to put like a negative spin on even them trying to be helpful to me. And you would become so quick to snap or to have a quick response that you wouldn't expect or that you wouldn't normally give, and it would normally be in the negative. Lastly, the other way that depersonalization and cynicism might manifest is you're distancing yourself from other people. Look, if you feel that people are disingenuous with what they're saying to you, if you feel like when people are trying to help you that they really don't get you, and if you feel like the things that you usually enjoyed aren't as enjoyable as they used to be, like spending time with your friends and family, you're gonna want to tend to separate from them. Just generic disinterest and stuff. Like, I know for me, it was like, no me importa, I don't care, whatever, do what you want, just leave me alone, everybody. You might feel that you're in a dark place, and this was something that I did. I could hear myself saying negative things. I can hear myself sort of being the Debbie Downer of the room, and in not wanting to put that on my friends and family, not wanting to bring them down as well, I kind of kept myself apart. We'll get into it a little bit later, but you'll see why it's more important in those moments to get around those people and get around your loved ones and the people who are supportive of you, especially in those times. So last but not least, the third symptom of burnout is decreased effectiveness. And this is the one that was so frustrating to me, because I would usually sacrifice my sleep and doing the things that I love and the things that I enjoy, spending time with the people that I like being around, to get stuff done. Like, my goal was to be more productive, but I found that I was actually having the reverse impact. The problem with depression and burnout is that when you lose that motivation and drive, you're not going to do things as efficiently as you used to. You might find yourself making more mistakes. That's not what you want when you're trying to be productive. You want to be efficient and you want to do things well the first time. It takes more energy to focus. And then when you do focus, you're actually less focused and you're making mistakes and you're taking longer to do things. And all of that piles up and it stacks. And then you start to question, am I really in the right place? Do I know? Maybe I don't know what I'm doing. Maybe I don't get this. Maybe I'm no good at this. Or I'm starting to suck at this. Or was I always so bad at this? What was I thinking getting into this? What did I think that made me think that I could do this? And it chips away at your self-confidence. Sometimes it's external factors too. You know, other people telling you, oh, you're just lazy. How dare you sleep for 13 hours? You are so lazy. Why are you taking longer to do these things that used to take you half the time to do before? You've gotten so lazy. You know, I laugh at it now, but it's serious, and it can really be detrimental to your self-confidence and your self-esteem. So this is one of the reasons that I feel like it's so important for us to be aware of burnout and overwhelm and things like that, because those are some of the things that I see chipping away at women's self-confidence. We are so good at stacking, and we are so good at connecting those dots, but sometimes when we connect those dots, they lead us to lower our own self-esteem and to question whether or not we're good at things that we really are truly good at. But we're not seeing and living to our full potential because we're simply just burnt out. Think about it. When you enjoy something, you will stay up, late hours. You get lost in time. 30 minutes can go by so quickly. Half a day can go by like it was half an hour because you're just having so much fun. Think about when you're around people you enjoy being around. Think about the first time that you were in love. You're spending time with that person, and hours are just like minutes. It doesn't matter because you enjoy what you do. But when you don't, when you're burnt out, it's the opposite. 30 minutes seems like 2 hours. I remember I used to get into the office at 8:30. By 9:30, I was refilling my second cup of coffee. By 10 o'clock, I was looking for a snack. By 11:30, I'm like, okay, where is lunchtime? Like, can we speed the day up a little bit? And it was just like the day would just crawl. Mondays would be the hardest. Matter of fact, no, Sundays for me were actually the hardest because I would spend my entire day off regretting the Monday. Do you know what I'm saying? I know many of you do. And when you're burnt out, everything becomes like that. Your brain just is not where it should be. You'll also find you'll take longer to complete tasks because you're not as focused, you're not as efficient. The things that you can normally do in 30 minutes are going to take you 40, an hour. I remember I couldn't remember anything. My memory was so bad. And I always say to people, if you don't see me write it down, it is not going to happen. It is gone. And I would remember now, looking back, I remember writing things down and not even remembering that I wrote. That's why I want to get us to see the symptoms of burnout so that we can avoid it and so that we can heal from it.